first of all, like, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about purpose and the mission behind Peculium, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Peculium form that you're working on, please.
Oh, sure. Thank you very much. Well, again, thank you on behalf of the company for the opportunity to speak to you. I think it is, as you said, a very exciting time. We're certainly off to a good start on this front. My background is I've been a technologist, business person, as well as a investor for many years now. I've served as CIO for many organizations over the years, and we have certainly been very progressive in those organizations as it relates to technology. We certainly, over the years, have dabbled in artificial intelligence, big data mining and whatnot. And, a lot of the things that is going on with Peculium, you did say it correctly, they have really, we as an organization have taken the stack of, all these individual technologies and put them together in an array of information that is allowing us to be able to do things that are going to be very transformative, and we can talk about it. Peculium's the first, virtual crypto savings platform for blockchain. So we are a decentralized, fully transparent environment dedicated to the cryptocurrency model. And our objective, our purpose is to take, what we know, blockchain technology itself has it has the ledger, the overarching ledger we can track all transactions through in terms of all the different cryptocurrencies. But somebody that is looking at investing in cryptocurrency, you're only getting a part of that story. You don't have all the analytics that you would use to make an educated, informed investment decision based on simply the information contained in a blockchain. So what we intend to do is, we know how volatile cryptocurrencies are right now, yet we believe that the cryptocurrency age is upon us, and it's only going to get progressively greater. And so we're applying artificial intelligence along with big data, along with blockchain technology as that stack that I told you about, that is going to allow for investors to get served up very good recommendations and decisioning from our technology. We'll talk about what the name is in moments, but to help them make better investment decisions and mitigate, most importantly, risk.
Awesome. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I was just having conversations on Facebook about de-risking investments, and one of the statements that I picked up from Jack Ma, who is one of the fastest growing billionaires and one of the probably most influential guys in the world. He said, "I only bet when I know I'm going to win." That's kind of like a thing that I almost have like plastered on my wall. So this idea of de-risking investments is super powerful and sort of resonates. And I've almost become obsessed with it myself in terms of like, how can I basically have all the upside and none of the downside, really. That's, I suppose, the absolute aim for everyone who wants to kind of succeed in the whole money game or any kind of game. So tell us a little bit about the people for Peculium, and this relates to both your team as well as the types of people, the customers that you are looking for.
Sure, very good question. So we have Rashid, who is our CEO, has extensive background in data and platforms for big data. I mean, the technology, the architecture that is required to serve up and be able to handle information real time, the sheer volume of data and the velocity of data is essential for a project like this. One of the big things that you should understand is the technology of big data has been around for some time, but actually many of those projects fail because they lack the actual architecture designed to support, parallel kind of processing and just the sheer volume and velocity of data that comes in, storage of that data, and being able to mine it. So Rashid comes with a very strong 20 years of background in that area of taking and treating data and the platform in which data can be stored and accessed in quantum speeds, if you will. That's his background. Very strong individual there. And then we have Abed, who is our chief data officer. And Abed has a very strong background in data itself, the use of data and predictions of data. He's done a lot of work in looking at energy markets and whatnot, and how to predict the actual pricing of fluctuations of prices from an investment perspective. And so the team has over 20 years, if you take the collective team, of 20 years experience in this whole area of big data, infrastructure, financial. So I think it's a compliment to be very to be involved with these guys, and they're doing some really amazing things. And I'm honored to be part of this team. I'm actually based out of New England, out of the Boston, New England area. These guys are my team's out of France and other parts of the world, and so it's a pleasure to work with such a good team that and have such a very strong background. A lot of ICOs come together, as you might know, Jason, just putting together a team quickly to try to jump on create an ICO. This team has been together for some time. It's been working on this for 2 solid plus years, and I think it shows in the work that we're doing.
So tell me about the perfect customer for Peculium. Who
Sure.
is this?
So Peculium. Listen, we are. We think that the whole the world with blockchain has got decentralized, right? So there's no this intermediary banks and brokerage houses not brokerage houses, but banks and middle parties trying to be in the middle to have a central kind of source arbiter of the process. So we actually want the and we're mindful of the fees that go along with having an arbiter in the middle, a central kind of repository. And so with blockchain, we're able to serve up to the individual themselves. The individual is going to be able to through our product be able to actually leverage the Evie is our technology, Eve, her ability to be able to make recommendations and allow them to put their risk tolerance and what they're actually willing to risk in the areas in which they were willing to risk it. And Evie will, or Eve will be able to serve up good, strong recommendations on their pod and make recommendations when they should potentially move in and out of certain currencies. Same thing is true for large companies and multinationals. One of the challenges this, when you're a multinational organization, Jason, you have this need to be standard across the world on offering your employees a central savings environment. And it's very difficult, the different laws of the different countries, to offer something like that. With Peculium now is a totally decentralized, blockchain-enabled, no group in the middle. We'll be able to offer large organizations of all sizes, quite frankly, and multinationals the ability to be able to leverage our technology. And then we have the large institutions and brokers as well, and they will actually have the ability to actually manage their portfolios as well and look at the portfolio as a whole and the fluctuation that's going on. And Evie will be able to offer them a series of tools. We have 3 platforms: Singulus, which is for the individual. Solidus, which is for the companies and the multinationals, and then Alteris is for the large financial brokers and institutions.
All right, so moving on to the systems, tell us a little bit about how this system is going to work, especially about the AI component, the Eve. Um, how is that going to work in terms of where is it going to be pulling the sort of tips from, and how will it kind of make recommendations? Because I know, like from since the whole crypto craze, I mean, I've been in Bitcoin for like a couple of years now, and but then it's that spawned off and springboarded all of us into like Ethereum, this and that, and so on. And that's like I find myself just like spending hours and hours just like researching Twitter, Facebook, Google News, FT, all this kind of stuff, and the amount of information is huge right out there. So how is Eve going to kind of bring this into some sort of meaningful form for us?
Well, therein lies the opportunity, Jason, right? I mean, I think what you've just outlined is the same challenge that everybody has right now as they're trying to grapple with the sheer volume of information. And if you magnify that by the acceleration that we're going to start seeing of new companies coming out, new ICOs, and all the exchange information around it, as well as what's occurred. So we have we have a centralized ability. We apply a couple of very important things. One is that we have the ability for Eve to mine historical data, right? So this is not subjective. This is objective. We can mine the blockchain. We can mine other information as to what actually transpired as related to any specific cryptocurrency, right? Up to our goal with the funding that we're going to take it to, do it in real time and be able to see all the history and be able to process that. Now, it's one thing, as they used to have artificial intelligence, like when Watson, take an IBM Watson product, when it won and it beat Jeopardy years ago and was able to beat chess players, they had to feed that system a wealth of information that it could quickly search and cross-reference. We're actually going to use learning algorithms. So Eve has the ability to actually process vast amounts of data through algorithms and learn. We're not teaching Eve. She's learning through our algorithms, and she's looking through all the historical data that transpired. So we have that element of her intelligence. The second part of Eve is to be able to take data as it relates to natural language, text, and video and photos, and all kinds of data that we would call sediment that's going on out there. How's the market feeling about a certain currency? What's the sediment? What's going on? All the news, all the information, all the press releases and whatnot. And she's processing that information as well. So you have the historical trading, you have all the information that's going on over the internet as it relates to a certain cryptocurrency company. We know who the actors are, we know who the people are, we know what the goal of the companies are. Eve is learning all of that. And the thing about Eve is she's always learning. And she's doing that not for any one cryptocurrency, but for all the cryptocurrencies. And so she's reading Jason, the news that you're saying you spend hours reading and all the backstory you're trying to do. Eve is just, as you and I go to bed at night and wake up in the morning, Eve's staying, working 24 hours a day. That's the goal. I mean, that's when we're able to take Eve to a real-time level. She'll be doing that, but all those elements are in place right now to give her that information. And then we use artificial intelligence on top of that to be able to go and mine that data and be able to see patterns and be able to identify opportunities that a human programmed application wouldn't naturally identify. So it's finding information, patterns that instead of looking for needles in the haystack, they're being actually presented to you in return. And that information then is used to help with the risk management. Because if we suspect there is a risk, because we're seeing what we're seeing in the trading patterns and what we're seeing in the sediment, the information. It may be paused for actual a risk movement, or if we see an opportunity where we see, you know, lots of transaction happening, a lot of positive news, a lot of, you know, we would actually take that information and actually favorably make a recommendation based on that, you know, those outcomes. That help?
Awesome. So would you say that with regards to the innovation behind Peculium, this kind of AI aspect to it is the main innovation, or are there other things that are you know, innovative, kind of cutting edge? I like the fact that you know, you're talking it's a decentralized platform. A lot of people are very, very keen on blockchain being decentralized. We know, like, you know, not naming any names here, but we know that some things are not so decentralized, and then there's a question of whether it's blockchain or not. So I like the idea that it's decentralized with Peculium, and AI is cool. But I've noticed that like a bunch of other companies are, you know, advertising AI components and so on. And this with like AI, I've been in UX design for 10 years now, so I've been designing a lot of systems like this. And I must admit that like AI, I still find is quite a tricky one to even think about, because it's kind of like a black box. It's like a giant algorithm that's just doing stuff. So tell us a little bit about more the kind of innovation side of things with regards to Peculium. Is it the AI, or is it something else as well?
Well, I really think it's the combination. I mean, as I said earlier, it's, you know, a lot of people are doing AI right now, right? But they're doing it somewhat in a lower scale, right? I mean, you know, when you think about trying to take the kinds of data and taking that data and processing it real time, as I said earlier, the volume of data, the velocity of data, structured data and unstructured data. This is not like a traditional database. It's being able to take that data and be able to act on that data very, very quickly. So our first stack of the technology innovation is the platform and architecture that we're running it on. It's not just running on a standard kind of you know, server like a database and trying to, you know, pull that data in. So we have our, you know, we have our platform and our architecture that's very innovative. On top of that, if you take that, it's the ability to be able to apply our you know, our OLAP technologies to be able to dynamically build these kinds of data stores that are going to be able to you know, act upon this data that's getting captured and processed. So our, you know, we have our platform as to add on top of that the dynamic OLAP to be able to construct and be able to, you know, allow us to slice and dice that information as best we need it. On top of that, we have machine learning, right? And so this is where, again, the algorithms that we've talked about pulling all that information in and being able to learn, then be able to sift through what no longer need that original data set. It's now Eve is learned. On top of that, this idea of natural language, being able to pull data in via natural language. On top of that is the artificial intelligence itself to go be able to mine that information. On top of that is to run it on top of Ethereum and use smart contracts to be able to assure the, you know, the infallible assurance of the transaction itself, that we're able to be very transparent, very open, and applying that on top, all of that on top of the cryptocurrency marketplace, which is growing by the hour. New ICOs, new coins, new businesses going on out there is a really critical area. And the last innovation is taking that, and that if that technology alone was not good enough, I think what we're actually doing is we're applying world savings. There's $19 trillion in that is, you know, in savings that people are trying to and make that investment and hedge that, those dollars are going to be there for their future, for an emergency, for buying a home, for their children, for their health. And so we think, and we care genuinely that, that's such an important market that, the technology alone is great, but if we use our innovation and apply it to the savings marketplace, that we're actually doing something for the world that is going to and help. It's a big statement, mankind, because this transcends the globe, and individuals, companies, and institutions. We think that the innovation is the whole product. It's more powerful than the sum of its components. Does that make sense?
So that you just mentioned product there. So in our model, it goes from purpose to people, systems, innovation, and then product. So, as a UX designer, user experience designer, we would always say that experience is the product. So tell us a little bit about the experience of Peculium, and what is the experience of Peculium for those people who will want to use it and effectively benefit from it? How will they experience the platform, and what's the kind of workflow through that in once it's all kind of ready to go?
Right. So people will be given access to an environment called a portal of such, which will give a dashboard of information. It will have visualization of their data. It'll have recommendations. It will be giving advice, and it will be adjusting. It will tell you that these are changes that you should do to make move in and out of certain currencies, or maybe make a move into a new sector or whatnot. We have a vision, and certainly Eve will be able to do this. Would be to automatically trade on behalf of people. But we do realize that we really want to give people. We have to start somewhere first. We have to get people to feel comfortable with the technology, so they will act upon the technology themselves and build up confidence and whatnot. But Jason, they would have a portal, they would have a dashboard, they would have an alerting mechanism, notification. You can imagine we would have a mobile app and mobile device, representation of that as well. But the beautiful thing around it is, I think it's going to be very, there's elegance in design. You're a UIX person, right? So there's elegance in design. We think we keep it. Eve is going to be very friendly. She's going to put the visualizations up there. A picture tells 1,000 stories. And I think the alerts and notifications people will be getting, that you'll be able to, and then you'll be able to set your, where your confidence, where your thresholds are, and sectors and whatnot that you want to invest in. So that's what they'll have at their disposal.
So, I mean, who is, how far are you into the actual product development, and who is doing the kind of things like UX design and development? How is this what state is this currently in?
Yeah, and so we're a long way. I mean, everything that I've talked about from the infrastructure, that's all there. The algorithms that we need, there's some 176 algorithms for her Eve's learning and processing of data. The architecture has all been, it's all there. In fact, we have Alpha Eve. We call her Alpha, and she's chatbot right now that is showing you that we can accomplish good predictive things right now. We've done that with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, with Dash, and the like, and we're able to, we've been able to show even during our IPO that Eve has been making these recommendations, and we kind of do a little bit of a gamification to see how well that Eve is predicting it. So what we don't have yet is, what we're looking for with the funding coming out of our ICO is to take it so weak that Eve is not, it's more real time information, real time, is different than collection of information and stop, and then be able to do some prediction. So we're really looking to take Eve to the next level and give her natural language as well, processing. As far as the user interface, I mean, if you look a lot at the our website and the work that's done there, and there is an interface today where you can go in and you can log in to buy PCL, which is our token, which we encourage your audience and everyone that to take advantage of our ICO that's underway. But we, Jason, I think that our emphasis coming after ICO and whatnot will be to take that user experience to that next level. Because right now it's we're doing all the things that we need to do at the stage that we're in to be able to go in there, purchase ICO, PCL and whatnot. But we have some good plans there, and we have some very talented people on the team that have done extensive work in artificial intelligence and design and whatnot. And I think that we'll be taking it to the next level at that point.
All right, so that takes us to the sixth element, which is money. So talk to us about the ICO, the PCL token. Yep. You're building this on top of Ethereum. So is it a share token or utility token? How is it going to develop in your view? Is it going to be tradable on platforms, exchanges? I mean, is it going to be speculatable through Peculium itself? I think there's lots of these kind of self-fulfilling prophecies as well that can happen through these blockchain platforms. Tell us about the money side of things. Yeah. And for anyone that's invest into the ICO, what is it in, what's in for them here with the Peculium ICO?
Yeah, I thank you for the question. I think so. Our PCL is our token. It is going to be listed out on exchanges. We're going to have it. It'll be tradable on major exchanges. The question around the money itself, we're looking, in an idealistic world, if everything was perfect, it would be 50 billion euro, and we have a minimum goal through the ICO of 7 million of PCL. Euro for PCL. I think the idea of applying the EV technology, Peculium technology to our own PCL will absolutely be our goal. I think we're going to treat it no differently than any other. We want to put our own technology on ourselves so people can see it. I think the philosophy there is our overarching. We have had a number of. We had a private sale. We had a pre-ICO, and our ICO is underway as we speak right now, and there's been some bonus incentives. We'll be doing a closed coin ICO after the ICO, which will span many months for the large institutions to be involved in, and so that they'll have a chance to bring again the emphasis around PCL. So again, let me clarify: 50 million euro our goal, and 7 million is our minimum, which we're very close to actually achieving. And I think that you will see that PCL, when you invest in PCL, you're investing in Eve, and by investing in Eve, Eve's going to get better and better at her ability to be a great broker for you and for everybody that uses the platform. So as we invest and PCL, as investments continues to come in, she will get the benefit, and then there will be essentially a dividends to be paid out as it relates to those investors that got in during the process, depending on what state and stage you got into the process.
Awesome. And so last part of the model for us is the growth side of things. How are you planning to grow this, and who is your sort of perfect customer to take this to? What are you looking for in respect to growth of Peculium?
Right. Well, I think that, we, as I just said, I think that we're out there, we're attracting, we believe that there are many people, individuals like yourself, myself, and, the people that I'm sure are watching today and will watch in the future, that these are individuals that are following the markets. They're looking at this emerging world of cryptocurrency. It's been here for years, but 2017 was the breakout year, and we know that this world is going to just it's just going to keep going. So we know that's the first population that'll likely be taking advantage of EV and Peculium, but it will soon there followed by companies that are looking at how they can do it. Look at introducing a savings. Decentralized savings plan for their employees around the globe. And we believe as companies get more comfortable, as the markets get more comfortable with the ability to leverage technology like Eve, that is taking, not only all the transactions, but all the news, all the information, and is being able to process that in seconds to be able to make very calculated risk to benefit reward kind of, I think that we'll see that those companies begin to start to embrace it. But we also think it's the large, when I just said the closed coin offerings that we're going to be offering out into the large institutions and whatnot, because you see trends happening in those markets, even outside of Peculium, where companies are actually, a lot of the brokers are now actually, artificial intelligence is coming into play in some of those cases, and being able to, some of this automated trading. And that's in the typical currency world, but not necessarily in the cryptocurrency world. And we believe that we're going to have a solution that those institutions and companies which are already expressing some interest are at least carefully observing. They will be getting on board, and we believe once they get on board and they're leveraging the technology and leveraging Peculium and PCL, that we will see that continue to kind of expand over the years to come.
All right. And so tell us a little bit about where you expect Peculium to be by the end of this wonderful 2018. Where is it all going to be at the end of this year?
Right. Well, we have a roadmap. We can, and if you go to a peculium.io, you will see that there is a roadmap that shows kind of, pre-ICO and post-ICO as to where, our stack is. It obviously all contingent on, a successful ICO, which we have every confidence is going to be. But it will show probably easier than I can explain what we'll see getting built out in the stages that'll be getting built out. But we're certainly going to be raising, building out EVs, as I said, natural language processing. We're going to give you take EV from alpha to beta to help her begin to process in real time. As we get to that stage, we know that the product is even already going to be viable in a lot of practical uses. So I think that you'll see that this, you'll see us. This will be a very pivotal year for us on a lot of fronts, for us to get to some major milestones on it. And I think that again, I encourage you to look at the roadmap as it will kind of lay out the stages of where we'll be in over the current year.
But you're expecting this to be on exchanges by the end of the year?
We do. We think, our goal is there's discussions and a lot of, interest in this area. And we have, our goal is, I know in discussions with the team that exchanges, we will be on major exchanges.
Awesome. And so just for the sort of closing questions, one of the questions came in from one of our members, Ravi. He asked how many languages is Eve going to operate in, and where does she kind of reside? She resides as an algorithm in this Peculium blockchain, right?
That's well, she resides. Remember, the blockchain is a element of Eve. Of her being able to read the Ethereum, blockchain to be able to get all the transactional historical information. But we do have our own servers, our own cloud environment. We'll be announcing also some news. I won't steal any thunder yet, but there's some interesting things that are happening that we are. In terms of partnerships and whatnot, there's a lot of organizations that have taken interest to Peculium that share our story. So I think you'll be hearing, we certainly run out in the cloud and infrastructure and the architecture that I've talked about, but it is a combination of the blockchain, and it is a combination of our own large big data repositories that Eve operates against for her brain, if you will.
Okay, that makes sense. And it's kind of always a mixture of classic tech, right? And the blockchain for where blockchain needs to be in place to handle smart contracts and token ownership and wallets and so on. So. Just one last question. Tell us, this is more like intention casting. Tell us what you are looking for the most. I guess it's the ICO investors for now, but down the line after the ICO, what do you need the most? Tell us so that we can pass the word around.
Well, we need as many people to know and become aware of our environment and the value proposition of our environment. We're pretty humble, though it may sound like we have, we have great technology, which we have, and all of that. We have a pretty humble team and a very hardworking team that is working day in and day out to change the world and to make it a better world for people that with their savings. And to help them make very educated, informed decisions, and to be smart and to be confident that they have Eve and Peculium platform working in their best interest. We believe that as more and more individuals, companies, and institutions become familiar with our environment and our proposition, it's going to become the de facto standard. We are the first mover in this particular area, and there's a lot that has to go on to get you to a place where, to try to, take this to where we're going, and all that foundation work has been laid. I want to answer the question on the multiple languages. I know that we will be supporting localization, internationalization, if you will. I don't have a definitive on that, but I will assure you that we will support multiple languages out there, and probably what that'll translate to is languages getting released, different languages course of time. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I covered that as well.
So just clarify to me also the aspect of the savings, right? Because
yes.
I think what the general sort of gist is in the crypto world and the blockchain world, that the notion of savings and a quote unquote bank, right, is somehow seen as like a bad word, bad term. So tell us a little bit just more to sort of understand and clarify that idea of managing people's savings or working with people's savings. Tell us a little bit what you mean by that exactly, because let's say, like, I think of that as like I own a bunch of crypto coins, right, in different wallets. And so how is Peculium then going to work with that in terms of that process of like, where do the coins kind of sit and reside and so on?
Sure. So, I mean, if you think about it, Jason, if you're like me, yeah, I'm sure you have investments in crypto and different wallets that you have stored that information in, and you may be, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, moving, things around, making some hedging and whatnot. So you're dabbling, you're speculating, you're determining if you should make some of these decisions. But some people, the money that they're going to invest in crypto and take the leap, which it's, as I said, it's just beginning, right? Most people are just starting to talk about even the word Bitcoin in general society, right? And so when you take people who over the years, have they've had anemic growth in any kind of savings 401k plan that they might have had, or mutual fund that they have had, ETF. They're concerned that money they might put into the crypto market might actually evaporate very quickly, and so they're taking what maybe savings they have, and not wanting to miss out. So they're putting personal savings, and converting it to crypto. And all of a sudden now they have savings in crypto. Not like us, moving some, cryptocurrency around and making some, buying decisions. This is real savings. So from an individual perspective, some people would rather, not open up a bank account and have the institution kind of control and dictate what their rate's going to be and the fees that they're going to get charged to it. They would like to move some of those dollars into cryptocurrency in savings and be able to be educated and be informed that, you're not having some individual that is trading on your behalf, but Eve that gives you the power to actually make those decisions yourself, and is mindful of your trading risk and your portfolio and what you're wanting to do. So that's what we see it on an individual basis. In companies, you have, again, as I've said before, a need to be able to offer out programs like pension plans and various things and savings that the company wants to be able to offer. But different countries and different rules and regulations and banks, and they don't allow for a normalized, standardized savings program for a company. So imagine a company might want to make a contribution in saving each payroll, a plan that they help these individuals save on behalf of the organization as a benefit. That's saving. So it just happens to be savings in the world of cryptocurrency, and being able to use Peculium and Eve to be able to work with those individuals and on behalf of that company, that company has the confidence to roll it out, because it's not just the wild world of cryptocurrency. It's a savings platform. And then finally, if you look at, again, the institutions, there is, again, if you're going back to 2015, $19 trillion that these institutions are managing in quote unquote savings types of accounts. And we're saying that, we believe that we can have a good portion of that market as it relates to the cryptocurrency for those institutions. They can help their clients and the individuals that are involved in that to have a more confidence and have real-time good information to act upon on behalf of those institutions that are still, and where some people will still depend on an institution to manage their money. This is a way for the institution to give them confidence that they're going to cryptocurrency, but through a platform like Peculium that manages the risk.
Makes sense. It's like you want to accumulate some value somewhere to have it for future to either spend or further invest and so on. So it makes sense. Eric, listen, thank you so much for participating in this conversation and speaking to me and answering all the questions. Blockchain world is so fantastic. I basically haven't felt this excited about life since the beginning of the internet, when it was just Internet Explorer barely. and Netscape Navigator and things like that. So it's super exciting times, and you know, thank you so much, and I'm wishing you all the best for 2018. Please keep in touch. Let us know how you're getting on, and maybe we can do another chat, you know, in 6 months' time to see where you are and, you know, updates and things like that. So, and it's like the way the world is so small. You know, I have to mention one of your advisors is a chap named Xavier, who I worked with a bunch of years ago, and he kind of reached out to me on LinkedIn just before this interview kicked off and said, "Oh, how small world, you're about to speak to Eric. Be nice to him, you know, don't ask him any like harsh questions." Like, I'm not going to ask any harsh questions. So I hope I haven't been, you know, harsh towards you in any way, shape, or form. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Zay. I mean, I think it is a small world, and he mentioned that to me as well. You know, over a Slack channel that we were talking about. So that's fantastic, Jason. This has been terrific. Well, I'll take you up on that in 6 months' time. It's going to be exciting. I share the same sentiment with you. I mean, we were on the verge of a new. It's a whole new era, and I think that you know, there's really exciting things happening out there, and I think people have to use good discernment around the companies that they really want to back and be involved in. And I tell you just firsthand, again, my experience with the Peculium team has been nothing but fantastic. Worked for many companies in the past. These guys are very, very bright. And Jason, it's been an honor and pleasure to be with you today on the show. And you weren't too hot. You can sleep well tonight. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks so much. All the best. Enjoy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.